Hey you guys, welcome back to Lisa and Company, or welcome if you're new here. Today I have a whole bunch of really cool Valentines trash to treasures, and this is part of an entire playlist. This collab is hosted by my good friend Casey over at Coffee with My Sunshine, so you're gonna have to make sure you go over and check out her channel at the end of this video, and make sure you settle back with a coffee or a tea or whatever and take a deep dive into this playlist, because I guarantee you it's going to be full of amazing content. Why don't we get started? First up today, we have a wire hanger. Well, we have a wire hanger that's going to be a really cool Valentine DIY. So I am going to take it apart, and I would strongly encourage you to wear gloves when you do it. I didn't, and I have tiny little cuts all over my hands. And let me tell you, when I use sanitizer, they hurt. I just took my time threading the beads on and manipulating the wire. This isn't really something I can explain. You'll figure it out as you go along. I think the craziest thing was how difficult it was to get my hands on a wire hanger once I saw this DIY and wanted to recreate it myself. Thank goodness for dry cleaners. Once you have all the beads on, you can just manipulate the wire into the shape you're looking for and then twist it back together at the top. Now I wanted to hide that, and I just took some of the Dollar Tree burlap ribbon. I trimmed off the wire edges, I cut it in half, and I used those pieces to wrap around. Just used a couple of dots of glue at the base and then wrapped and wrapped and wrapped. And that was as much as anything to make it look pretty, but to also protect from those really rough wires, which I may have mentioned, I kind of sliced my fingers up on. Now I have this ribbon. It's an older one from Dollar Tree, but could it be any more perfect for this? I love the X's and O's. The reason it's in multiple pieces is because I have used it so many times. Now I'm just going to do this bow a little bit differently. I wanted to have a few different pieces hanging down, so I'm going to tie on a couple of shorter pieces, then use a small piece to make a bow, and I will glue it right in the center there. I love this way this turned out, and I had a tiny little rose from another dollar store that I just tucked in the top there. This one, although I intended it as a Valentine's DIY, kind of love it for all year. You guys, I am so grateful for your support while our channel has grown, and we really appreciate it when you subscribe and hit that notification bell. So you guys, if you've been following me for a while, you know I love thrifting. Izzy loves thrifting. Right down in Ontario, we're in a bit of a lockdown. We have a stay-at-home order due to COVID-19, and I am missing my thrift stores so much. I'm curious, what are you guys missing the most as we go through these lockdowns and stay-at-homes during COVID? Tell me down in the comments what you're missing. Speaking of thrifting, I picked this one up at the Restore, and it was in really bad shape. Somebody had done a beautiful job on it at some point, but now it needs a new life. So I am going to sand down the paint a little bit. So where all of that plaster has been revealed, we're just going to smooth it out a little bit before we give it a fresh coat of paint and a new life. I'm just using my Dollar Tree sanding block to smooth it all out and get ready for a coat of paint. probably know it before I even start that I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum chalk paint in linen white to give this new life. I'm just going to go over it with one coat, make sure I give it a really good cover. Then we're going to do a couple more steps just to really show up some of those details. I have this Fusion Mineral Paint Stain and Finishing Oil, and it's called Driftwood. It's a really, really pretty gray. So I started using a foam brush to put it on and then discovered that it was a lot easier with a rag. So this is perfect because it really shows up all the imperfections and the texture and the detail on this. And I wanted this to look subtle, a little bit different than it did before. And this was the perfect product to get it there. Once I had that exactly how I wanted it to look, I decided to go back with the white paint and just very lightly highlight the heart in the center. Just a thin coat, well, just to make it stand out. It is Valentine's Day after all. I'm curious how much you guys decorate for Valentine's Day. Do you really enjoy this holiday, or is it not one of your favorites? For me, with my kids all grown up, I like to do these more neutral pieces for my home. And the best part is, if I leave them up a little bit longer, well, it's all about love, right? Now wait till you see, this one is literally a piece of trash. It's a leftover 4x4 post, and if you've been following me for a while, you know I had a whole bunch of 4x4 posts that I've picked up over the last few months. So I'm gonna take this outside and give it a really good sanding, round out those edges, because it is seriously rough. Then I'm using some burnt umber acrylic paint that I've watered down quite a bit because I wanted to use it like a stain. And the reason I'm using the paint rather than the stain is because it dries so much more quickly. So I'm gonna give this whole thing a good coat, make sure I get it in all those little nooks and crannies, and then we're gonna come back with, yep, you guessed it, I'm dry brushing it. But a little bit more than your average dry brushing. I'm really going to be putting down almost an entire coat of the white, just so some of that brown stain / paint shows through. Now it's time to finish this off and turn it into a really pretty piece of Valentine's home decor. I am using these rub-on transfers from Dollar Tree. I have quite a collection of them. Now let me give you a tip first. Number one, they do not stick to fresh paint very well, so I left it to dry overnight. Secondly, I gave it a little bit of a sanding because I found that they stick much better to a smoother finish. Now what I'm doing on all four sides, I'm putting kind of like those conversation hearts you can get at the store for Valentine's Day. Well, I'm doing the same on this block. So on all four sides, it's gonna have a little Valentine's greeting. Now, one more tip I can offer you is while you're waiting to use these, leave them with the transfer side up. I found that when I put the transfer side down, even on my work surface, some of it started to transfer right away. This is just something I figured out over time. Now, to fix it up where my transfer isn't perfect, I have a couple of options. I have Sharpies and I have this great Sharpie paint pen. That's the one I prefer to use on these. And I'm literally going to just touch it up. Because this is a rustic piece, you don't have to be perfect. Well, in my opinion, you never have to be perfect. DIY is more about the fun and what you get out of it anyway, don't you think? Now, I could have put a heart or something on top, but I decided I wanted this to be, I don't know, a little bit more fanciful. So I have one rose left over from last year from Dollar Tree and some old Walmart greenery that, believe it or not, is from a project that Izzy was working on. So I've just hacked that all up. I'm going to put a whole bunch of the greenery down and then place the rose right on top. Now, you guys know me pretty well by now. I'm not into tons of bows. I'm curious, would you put a bow on top of this? Just outside of the frame, I actually have a gray and white gingham ribbon, and I was so tempted. What would you guys have done? Either way, I totally love this one. Okay, I got a question for you guys. I want you to head down to the comments and tell me exactly what you love watching on Lisa and Company. Do you love the trash to treasures? Do you love room makeovers? Do you want to see more furniture flips, dollar store DIYs? Head down to the comments and let me know. I'm in the process of doing a ton of planning for this year and I want your input. So like I said, head down to the comments and let me know. Here's another really easy using trash to create treasure. I saved a whole bunch of these cans. I believe these ones were from like crushed tomatoes and making chili and that sort of thing. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm a bit of a hoarder when it comes to stuff like this because I know I can make great DIYs from them. Now, these are so simple. You could do these with the kids. You could do these so quickly and you'll have great decor, whether it be for Valentine's or any other time of the year. I am simply using a little bit of the Dollar Tree burlap ribbon. I'm going to glue that to the can and wrap it all the way around. And then we're just going to embellish these differently. So this one is going to get some of the red and white baker's twine. I actually picked this one up at Walmart last Christmas. And because I bought kind of a lot of it, well, I still had some left over. To finish this one off, I'm just going to use a simple wood sticker from Dollar Tree and put that right in the middle. I'm going to throw some greenery in this one and I think it's going to look really pretty, just tucked somewhere for a little bit of Valentine DIY decor. For this one, I decided to paint the can white and I figured you didn't need to know how to paint the can. And I am going to do something a little bit different with this one. I have these Dollar Tree hearts and I'm going to take a page from a book. Now, I had a book that it was sort of a marriage and relationship advice book. So I tried to find a page that had some nice conversation about love and about relationships so that it didn't look out of place on this. Another thing you could use is sheet music from one of your favorite songs. You could use so many different things. You know what? You could even use vows from your wedding. I think that would be absolutely stunning. Now I'm just going to use a glue stick to attach this on. I'm going to trim just a little bit closer to make it easier. And then I'm going to use this trick that we've all seen on YouTube, and I absolutely love it. Using your sanding block or a piece of sandpaper, just rub it from top to bottom and it is going to shave the paper off on the side and it gives you the most perfect finish. Now I'm using my Dollar Tree sanding sponge and I use the fine side as opposed to the rough one, and I absolutely love how this comes out. Now you could do some more stuff on this. You could add another wooden heart on top. Do whatever suits your decor. You could distress the edges. You could put a little bit of paint on the edges. I left mine plain, but you guys, you do you. So I did the same thing on this one and started with a piece of the Dollar Tree burlap ribbon. Then I used some of the Dollar Tree pip berries from the holidays, and I'm just tying it on with some black and white baker's twine. Really love the way this one came out, and I just popped some greenery in the top to finish it off. You could put a candle or just about anything in this one. And last but not least today, I have a piece of glass. Yes, this was from a Dollar Tree frame that I used at Christmas and didn't need anymore, and I saved it. And I can't believe I didn't lose it or break it, but these edges are super sharp. So I took the rough side of my sanding block and very carefully I sanded the edges and the corners just a little bit because I was so worried about someone getting cut. Now I'm going to create a base for this using the tumbling tower blocks. And this is one of those DIYs that is literally made from nothing. I absolutely love it. Using the old trick of some E6000 and some hot glue, I put 2 tumbling tower blocks on either side and created a really small and neutral base for this. Now, what I'm using to create the Valentines part of this is so much fun and reminds me of crafts we did when we were kids with our mom. I have a bag of buttons. Now, if you have a button collection, this would be a great opportunity to use it, and you could do this so many different ways, but I happen to have a bag of pink buttons. So we are going to create a really cool heart made out of buttons. This is one of those DIYs. I had a bunch of pearl beads that would have made a great heart. I have white buttons that would have made a great heart. There are so many different things that you could use. I have these little pom-poms from Dollar Tree with a little bit of gold in them. They would have been so pretty too. So it's funny how you can take something like this piece of glass and turn it into something really pretty for your home. Now this one, I'm thinking I'm actually going to use on a tiered tray. So stay tuned and see how I use this in my home decor. I try really hard to do my DIYs so they suit my home decor and so that you guys are seeing something new and different and hopefully something you haven't seen too many times before. But I gotta say, I am loving the way these ones came together. Now, if you're curious about some of the ones in the background, the sign and the heart, well, I'm gonna link that video down below. That's actually from last year's Valentine's playlist. Okay, you guys, I hope you loved the way these came out just as much as I did. I am crushing on this heart really bad. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna put it away after Valentine's Day or this one might live here forever. I can't wait to do my next video for you guys, so stay tuned next week for one more Valentine's DIY video. In the meantime, here's a couple more for you to check out. And thanks as always, you guys, for stopping by Lisa & Company. Make sure you're following us over on Instagram at Lisa & Company DIY and on Facebook at Lisa & Company, where we showcase all kinds of extra little tidbits and sometimes you even catch something that you wouldn't hear on YouTube. Thanks for stopping by, you guys. We'll see you next time.